Welcome back to Headlines. I'm Wes Austin, and these are today's top stories. First, Texas Democrats who fled the state to block redistricting are finally returning to Austin. So the good news is that they're back. The bad news is that they're still Democrats. Then, Chuck Schumer got busted by John Oliver for citing a made-up New York couple as the moral compass for his politics. Now, in fairness, it's not the first time that Democrats have depended on voters who don't actually exist. Next, the D.C. police chief didn't know what the term chain of command meant, which was comforting. It's like finding out your surgeon doesn't know what a scalpel is, but they're really good with nail clippers. And finally, a poll shows that only 12% of Americans found Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle ad to be offensive, but the outrage was loud enough to make you think she went to space with Katy Perry. You're going to be surprised how many Democrats found the ad offensive, so stick around for the end. Okay, then we go to the comment section. First, we have a few funny comments that I wanted to share. And then on the segment that we did about Jasmine Crockett and President Trump calling her out wanting a cognitive exam, somebody asked about Jasmine Crockett's real background because she holds herself out as kind of a working class person. So we're going to dig into the schools she went to and how expensive they were. Okay, let's dive in. Texas House Democrats who fled the state to block the Republican-led redistricting plan are preparing to return to Austin. Sources confirm that they're returning now that their minibar tab in Chicago exceed the state's education budget. Their decision comes after Governor Greg Abbott took legal steps to arrest and replace the dozens of Democrats who left the state to stall the redistricting process. They left to defend democracy, and now they're returning to defend their parking spots. The Texas Senate has officially passed the new redistricting maps, which caused Democrats to stage a walkout in protest, which actually was way cheaper than booking a month-long vacation at the Ritz in D.C., but if Soros is paying for it, who cares? The new maps must now be passed in the Texas House before Republican Governor Greg Abbott can sign them into law. So the Texas House Democrats' protest accomplished exactly what most Democrat policies do: absolutely nothing, but at a much higher cost. John Oliver called out Chuck Schumer for inventing a fictional New York couple and weaving them into his political narrative for years. Now, on the plus side, imaginary voters are a lot easier to bus in on Election Day. Schumer has long referenced a supposed New York couple, Joe and Eileen Bailey, claiming he speaks with them often and even uses their views as a guiding compass for public policy.
Joe and Eileen Bailey, Joe and Eileen, the Baileys really don't believe in. I have guided my political life through the Baileys.
But, as John Oliver pointed out, they aren't real.
They don't exist. Seriously, he invented them. Schumer first introduced the world to the Baileys in his 2007 book, Positively American, Winning Back the Middle-Class Majority, One Family at a Time. In it, he mentions the Baileys an astonishing 265 times in 264 pages.
Okay, in Schumer's defense, if he wanted Democrats from New York that sound normal to the rest of the country, fiction was his only option. I mean, think about it. Schumer's only options were invent a couple or introduce the nation to vegan Subway poets from Brooklyn. Apparently, the police chief in Washington, D.C. doesn't understand what the chain of command is. On Monday, President Trump declared a federal takeover of the Metropolitan Police Department in D.C., and he ordered the deployment of the National Guard in an effort to reduce the crime in the district. At a press conference, the police chief was confused by a question about the chain of command.
Side with our federal partners in order to enforce the efforts that we need around the city.
Can you tell us what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
So the executive order is clear.
The police chief got confused by the term chain of command, and the mayor had to step in and save her. That's like having your mom explain your job at career day, except you're 50 and carry a gun. A new poll has revealed that only 12% of Americans found Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle ad to be offensive. Only 12% of Americans found it offensive, which means 88% of us are still tethered to reality, and the other 12% watch MSNBC. Specifically, 7% of men and 17% of women found it to be offensive, while 49% of men and 31% of women found the ad to be clever. Further, 7% of Republicans found it offensive compared to 18% of Democrats. If only 12% of Americans found it to be offensive, we've got way more normal people than we thought, which is bad news for the left, because normal is their kryptonite. And now on to the comments section. So the first comments, they're kind of funny comments about the segment that we did about Jimmy Kimmel and Sarah Silverman. Someone had commented that they actually dated for a while, and so we covered that in yesterday's show. And I think these comments were based on that segment. So the first one is from QD McGraw, 2002. Sarah still had her mustache then. That's good. That's good. Okay, and the next one is from John Daughtry Mont. I don't know if I'm putting those together right. 3748. His comment on that segment was Sarah and Jimmy. Who was on top? sorry, that was PG 13 maybe, but it kind of made me laugh. So, all right. Let's move on. So this is a funny comment on Jasmine Crockett's segment where President Trump wanted her to take a cognitive exam. This was a comment from SL Chambers 1. Jasmine Crockett and AOC took an IQ test. Luckily, they tested negative. That just cracked me up. Okay. Then on to more of a substantive comment about Jasmine Crockett. This is from Bartlester 591. Well, as for Jasmine Crockett, Ben Johnson, another YouTuber, Ben Johnson, I think he meant, Ben Johnson, another YouTuber, just exposed, like he did AOC, where she got her education and where she came from. Apparently, Miss Crockett is from Tennessee originally and is educated somewhere back east. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Because Jasmine Crockett, she tries to hold herself out as the working class person in Congress. She's just, she's had such a rough life and such a rough neighborhood and all this kind of stuff. And it would be interesting to see. Let's look to see where she really grew up and what her schools are really like. And Benny Johnson was the one who did the original segment. I'm actually going to be citing this post. It's from Megyn Kelly, just because I wanted to show some text. And the Benny Johnson video, I didn't see any text that I actually pull up and look at. But Benny was the one who originally did it, and Megyn had Benny on her show. So this is Representative Jasmine Crockett, accused of working class stolen valor and being a no-show boss from hell. Okay, we won't talk about that part. On Monday's show, Megyn was joined by Benny Johnson, host of The Benny Show, to discuss his investigation into Crockett's background and why it amounts to working class stolen valor. So this is from that post. She describes herself as a ghetto girl from the hood, but Johnson believes that moniker is a lie, and she actually grew up way better off than most. So he paid a visit to her elementary school. This is elementary school, okay? The prestigious Mary Institute and St. Louis Country Day School, where tuition reportedly rings in at upwards of $35,000 a year. Now remember that I said elementary school, okay? That's crazy. The well-manicured campus features multiple tennis courts, an aquatic center, and a dock, and the academic offerings are seemingly just as robust. I didn't even know you could pay that much money for tuition for elementary school. That's just nuts. Okay, and let's go on to her later education. To that point, Crockett got a BA from Rhodes College in Tennessee and went on to graduate from the University of Houston Law Center. In total, he estimated her elite education cost close to $1 million. So she is a total fake. Like her supposed background, working class, grew up in a rough neighborhood, that is so untrue. Anyway, I'm glad that Benny did this. And if you do want to watch this like 12, 13-minute segment, just do a search on YouTube for Benny Johnson and Jasmine Crockett, and you'll find it. And then you can actually see some of the shots from the schools. Thanks for watching Headlines. And if you know anyone out there who might appreciate or like my clips, please do send it to them. Also, if you know someone who just get really pissed off by watching my clips, send it to them too. All right, I'm Wes Austin. Good night.